Hey guys, in the last video we talked about the background of the New Testament, and in this video we're talking about the infancy narratives in the Gospels. The infancy narratives refer to the birth of Jesus and John the Baptist. Only Matthew and Luke have infancy narratives. Matthew's is about Joseph and that Jesus is from a good Jewish background and how the birth fulfills the prophecy. Luke focuses on Mary instead of Joseph and how the Messiah brings joy and hope to the poor and the lowly. Luke says his Gospel is written for Theophilus, which means lover of God. Luke's infancy narratives parallel each other. Two people that are parallels are Jesus and John the Baptist. The parallel structure is ABC: the Annunciation, the birth, and the consecration. The Annunciation of the births to John and Jesus' parents by Gabriel the angel. The main message is John is great, but Jesus is greater. John's parents are Elizabeth and Zechariah. Gabriel goes down to Zechariah, who is burning incense at the temple, and tells him he will have a son. Zechariah questions this because his wife is barren and they are too old. Gabriel again tells him he'll have a child, and Zechariah is cursed for questioning God and can't speak until the birth of the baby. John's mother will have the Nazirite vow put on John. He's prophesied to go before the Lord Jesus and pave the way for him. There are four main messages of the story. 1. Sometimes silence before the Lord is the only way we can respond to his great wonders. 2. Nothing is impossible for God. 3. God comes to those who listen to him in silence. And 4. Fear versus faith, and choosing faith over fear. The announcement of the birth of Jesus, March 25th, is the feast of the announcement. It happens when Elizabeth is already 6 months pregnant. Jesus will be born to a virgin betrothed to a man named Joseph. Gabriel tells Mary that she's going to have a child, and she doesn't deny it, and doesn't say that she doesn't want one. She agrees to God's will. Mary risks her marriage to Joseph because Joseph didn't sleep with her, so he would accuse her of being unfaithful. She's also risking her reputation because being unfaithful as a woman would have resulted in being stoned to death. Gabriel says to Mary to go visit her cousin Elizabeth. Mary responds to the angel by saying, "May it be done to me according to your word," which is called Mary's fiat. Fiat means when you say yes to something. When Mary visited Elizabeth, Elizabeth heard Mary's voice, and John, inside Elizabeth's womb, leapt around, and Elizabeth said to Mary, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." Mary responds with her Magnificat, which is where she shows her thanks to God. Her Magnificat has 3 revolutions: the moral revolution, social revolution, and the economic revolution. The moral revolution is that the proud will be scattered, the social is that the mighty will be cast down, and the lowly will be raised up, and the economic is that the rich will be emptied, but the poor will be filled. This is the ending of the Annunciation. Next is the birth. The first of the two births is John the Baptist. John means God is gracious. Elizabeth says she will name him John, and there are people, and the people are like, "But there's no people in your family named John." They go as Zechariah, but he can't speak, so they bring him paper, and he writes that his name is actually John. Then John is born, and Zechariah's first words after the curse is lifted are praising the Lord. This is called the Canticle of Zechariah, or the Benedictus. His song of praise to God. The role of John, it's the song of praise to God. The role of John the Baptist is the forerunner for Jesus, fulfilling the prophecies of Malachi and Isaiah. On to the birth of Jesus. Luke has to take Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem in his story. The overall reason is to fulfill the prophecy, but in the story it's because of the census, which requires people who weren't born in Rome to go back to their birthplace for the duration of it, so it requires Joseph to return to where he came from, which is Bethlehem. Jesus was born in a stable because all the inns were full there. Jesus was being rejected even at birth. He was born into poverty and is for the poor. He comes from humble and simple origins because he was born into a stable. His life represents lowliness to greatness, Bethlehem to Jerusalem. The first people to know about the birth are the shepherds, which are the lowest class of society or the poorest. When the angels are arriving to tell the shepherds about the birth, they are singing the Gloria. The angels are the ones singing. Fear versus faith comes up in this again because the angels look ugly, but they had faith. The shepherds had faith. Mary gave birth in a stable, to which most people is a bad idea, but she had faith. Angels aren't little people with wings. They are freakish warriors from a different world. So when people see them, they are scared, but when the shepherds see the angels, they are happy instead of fearful because they have faith. Jesus is circumcised after 8 days. This shows that Mary and Joseph are following the law of God, or Moses, or Abraham. They go to the temple where they meet Simeon, a good man, and Anna, a prophetess. They represent all of Jerusalem waiting for the Messiah. Simeon has a dream with a spirit telling him that he will not die before he sees the Messiah. He prophesied that many people will oppose him, or Jesus, and reject him. The Gospel of Matthew begins with the genealogy of Jesus. Two people are included there which aren't expected, Ruth and Bathsheba, because they are women and they are Gentiles. This shows that Jesus is here for all the people, not just the Jews. Matthew describes Joseph as a righteous and good man because he was willing to divorce Mary quietly so that her reputation wouldn't be destroyed. An angel tells Joseph not to divorce her, though, because she will have a child, and that Joseph will name him Emmanuel, and he goes along with it. Now we go to the visit of the Magi. The Magi probably practice Zoroastrianism, maybe, but they're definitely not Jewish. We don't know. They follow the star of Bethlehem, and they seek to know the place where their vision is fulfilled. They're looking for a king. They go to the palace because, duh, that's where kings are, but instead they find King Herod. The king asks him to find Jesus and then tell him so that he can pay homage, but in actuality he wants to kill Jesus because he doesn't want a challenge to his power. The Magi go find Jesus and pay homage to him, but then don't go along their way and don't tell Herod because they had a vision that Herod had malicious intent. The chief priests and scribes are neutral towards Jesus because they don't worship him, but they don't hate him either. The gifts of the Magi are one in gold, which represents how Jesus will be king, because kings have gold. Frankincense is a sign that Jesus will be a priest, because frankincense is what was, and is still, used as incense in church. And lastly, myrrh is what they use to embalm dead people. It shows that Jesus will die to save the people. Luke focuses on Mary and the poor and the lowly. The message of Christ's birth being announced is spread by angels, and the first that it was spread to were the shepherds, or the poor and the lowly. He's born in a manger, which is something animals eat, which represents how Jesus lets us consume him. This is in Luke's Gospel. In Matthew's Gospel, the thing that first announced Jesus' birth is the Star of Bethlehem, and it's first announced to the Magi, and he's born in a stable. Back to the story in Matthew's Gospel. Dreams play a major part in Matthew's Gospel. They reveal many prophecies. The Magi go their own way. Joseph, Jesus' father, does not say a single word in the Bible. He has a dream that an angel tells him to take his family to Egypt. King Herod is furious that the Magi didn't come back and tell him where Jesus was, so he ordered every child of 2 years and younger to be killed to try to remove Jesus. And that concludes, so far, the Infancy Narratives. Thank you.